This one line in Tarkov's latest patch notes just completely changed how meta armor works, and most people haven't noticed yet. Take the Ars Armor CPC for example. This used to be one of the best armors in the game for PvP, because it had a sneaky piece of soft armor covering the sides of your player underneath the plates. This could catch many common rounds in the endgame, such as M855A1, but with this update, this is now gone, leaving you more exposed. So today I'll be showing you the new set of armors that are the best now that this mechanic has disappeared. And the good news is that these armors work well in both PvP and PvE because they have neck protection. None of the old 6 meta armors had any neck defense whatsoever, which was something you just had to accept for superior protection against player ammo, but now we can have the best of both worlds. Firstly, we will be selecting armors that have the best soft armor, which is the base layer of protection when they don't have any plates inserted into them. The highest that you can get is class 3, and there are 30 armors with class 3 that allow you to add replaceable plates in some format. From here, we'll reduce the list by requiring neck protection, which leaves 16 armors to choose from. There are still some niche options outside of this, but in general, there's no real advantage in going without neck now that this change has been made. Within this final 16, all of them have soft armor on the neck and the sides. 4 of them give you protection over all of the soft hitboxes outside of the main core, so sides, neck, shoulders, and groin. Unfortunately, these are the massive armors like the Zabralo, but the debuffs are still too high in my opinion. This same patch that we're talking about now reduced them again somewhat, but it's still too much given the limited advantage that the extra bit of class 3 armor gives. If we just look at the Zabralo, even before we've put any plates in whatsoever, this thing weighs 10.8 kilograms, reduces your movement speed by 9%, your turn speed by 5.5%, and your ergonomics by 7%. And bearing in mind that the plates also have debuffs of their own, this means that it does feel quite lumbering when you've got it on. All of that just for a little bit of extra class 3 doesn't seem worth it. Of the 12 other armors that we have, 4 of them give groin protection, but not arms, 2 of them give arms, but not groin, and then 6 of them give neither, just giving the base of neck and sides. But none of this is a deal breaker on the soft armor only, so next let's filter on weight. The 3 lightest armors look like they're going to be a good contender for the top spot, and that is the Juk Digital, the Killer Armor, and the Gazelle. Interestingly, the Gazelle and the Juk are basically carbon copies of each other. They have exactly the same weight and they have exactly the same stats, so they're pretty much one for one, except the only place where they differ is what they have inside them when you pick them up out in the world. Given that plates are replaceable and that these ones are completely compatible with each other, it really doesn't make any difference if you're buying an empty carrier which one you pick between these two. Now, although these start off with a very low weight, the unfortunate part, and the killer one especially, is that they have very awkward plate compatibility. This means that you can only use a limited number of plates in them, and those plates are also extremely heavy. All 3 of them, for the front plates, use the diamond-shaped Granite 4 style plate, and to get the best armor of this, you need the Granite 4 RS. This is currently not purchasable and is only found in Raid, which means that replacing armor plates within these carriers is actually quite irritating. For the Juk and the Gazelle, at least you can put a Sappy plate in the back, which gives you a lot more flexibility, but for the killer armor, again, you have to use the very specific Granite 4 back plate, of which the only one that is purchasable is the class 4 variety. The class 5 one is found on Killer himself, and the class 6 one again is found out in the world only and isn't purchasable anywhere. Because you're tied into these plates, with the killer armor in particular, you actually can't avoid the extra weight of the plates that come with it, and so it ends up being quite heavy despite starting off with a low base. Our main motivation right now in the late game of Tarkov 1.0 is to add something like the GAC 4SSS2 to all of the front of our armors. Given this is purchasable for 2 rams at the moment, you can swap any front plate out for this if the armor is compatible. The same philosophy applies to the back plates as well, although often I end up going for a class 5 instead of a class 6 in the back, but then you probably still want to pick the other GAC, the GAC 3S15M, because this is the lightest plate across class 5 and 6 altogether and makes your combination much more usable. So the Gazelle and the Juk are some of the strongest armors for their weight despite the heaviness of the 4RS because of their low debuffs, even if you fully load them with the best armor. However, they're not really practical to run outside of special missions because of the front plate rarity. So next let's turn our attention to the next block of 4 because these are all very similar, and this is the 6B45 armor series with the regular armor vest and then also 3 armor rigs, the medic, general purpose and assault. The 6B45 body armor EMR is available on Prapor level 3 for only 84,000 rubles, which is pretty good given this armor starts with a base of 3.7 kilograms, which is pretty light for this class of armor. Because it's not a rig, you then need to pair it with a rig of some description, which does give you some flexibility, but the Thunderbolt with 16 slots is the lightest at 0.6 of a kilogram, and to go any higher than this you need to go up to to 1.3 kilos. This is fine if you want to maximize space, but if you want to maximize the value that you're getting, some of the rig versions of this can actually be superior. The best one for slot space is on Prapor 4, and this one is the 6B45 Armored Rig Assault EMR. If you open this up, you'll see this has 19 slots inside, which is pretty good, but these are only 1x1s or 2x1s, so if you need something bigger, you're going to have to go with a slightly different rig. The general purpose version over on Prapor 3 is about the same price as all of the others at 89,000 rubles, and this one has a 2x2 slot whilst being very slightly lighter than the final one, which is the medic version, which has both a 2x2 and also uniquely a 1x4. There is not another 1x4 in this game. There are also very few things that actually are 1x4. But this does mean that if you're using 1x3 mags, the 45ers, then you can use those with this rig if you want to. All three of these are decent choices and they don't cost very much. The cash versions also come with no plates at all, which gives you a good starting point to mix and match something in there. I think if you want something that is easy, this is probably one of the better armors to go with if you want to pack in the best plates in the game, i.e. the GAC SSS's. The only issue here is that the debuffs are not that good. You have -5% move speed, -3% turn speed, and -3% ergo before you've even put any plates in, so it's kind of middling. You can deal with it if you want to, but there is better available. In terms of pure weight, the next one up is the Defender 2, which has better debuffs because this only has 1% move speed debuff, 4% turn, and 1% ergo. So the turn speed is very slightly different, you won't really notice, but the move speed and ergo are a little bit better. This comes with the downside of more weight at 5.7 kilograms, and although this can take the regular sappy Western plates as well, this means that it adds on overall to the weight of the whole armor, and means that you're starting to get into a territory where you might be overweight in most raids. The Defender 2 also has some odd quirks. It is one of the very few armors within this category that doesn't allow you to put side plates in. I typically tend not to run side plates, and if you were going to run them, then the usual wisdom is that you can run one on the left hand side of your PMC. Because when your PMC ADSs, you angle your body and the left hand side is more visible than the right. If you put both of them in, then you affect the weight quite a lot, and you can still put both in. I know people swear by the stomach protection that you get from the side plates, but it won't stop you from dying to a thorax shot, for example, because that's just not the hitbox that the side plates protect. And it also has a very strange quirk around the neck hitbox as well. We did filter for all the armors with neck protection, but this Defender has something unique in that when you look at the neck hitboxes, there are two. There's one for the front and one for the back. On any normal regular armor, you see throat, which is the front section, and back neck, which is the back section. But unfortunately for the Defender 2, the only hitbox that is present is the throat, meaning that the back of the neck is actually unprotected. These days, now that the neck damage goes down into the thorax rather than to the head, there are only specific scenarios in which this is a real problem, because if you get caught by a single pellet of buckshot, for example, even Magnum buck, you'll get 50 damage dealt to your thorax and not to your head, so it doesn't kill you instantly. But there are some situations where shotgun slugs, for example, or other ammo that's got very, very high damage can clip you in the back of the head and kill you if it just misses the helmet and just misses the body armor. So that is something else to bear in mind about the Defender 2. On the flip side, it has one of the easiest barters in the entire game at Ragman level 4 for one of those sledgehammers. It comes with two BR4 plates, which are okay, and you probably want to swap out, but you can probably leave the back one in if you want to. Although this does negate some of the advantages of going for one of these middle of the road base weight armors. After this, the weight starts to go up quite significantly, and the next best is probably the Osprey at 6.2 kilograms. So this is another 1.2 kilograms over the Defender 2. But what we get for this is we get proper neck protection all the way around, and we still get relatively low debuffs. -3% move speed is a little bit worse than the Defender, but the turn speed is better, and the ergonomics is only -2, so it's quite comparable to the -1 from the Defender 2, and it's still better than the 6B45s that we looked at before. One cool thing about the Osprey is that you not only get neck and sides, but you also get the shoulders here as well. This is just a nice to have little tick box over at the side. It's not a make or break, this armor is amazing because of it kind of thing, because most player ammo is going to go straight through that and hit you anyway. But against scavs with buckshot, it means you're going to be dealing with less blacked out arms, and sometimes that can make a difference in a fight if you're really under pressure. Another nice thing about the Mark IV protection is that because it's a rig, it has storage space inside, and the Osprey is absolutely enormous. It comes with two 3x1s and a 2x2. Don't forget that there is a hidden advantage of all of these armor rigs, which means that you can get out of the Red Rebel extract. So they've got extra value on maps like Reserve or Lighthouse, and even Shoreline these days, where you've got Red Rebel extract so you don't have to take your armor off before going through the exfil. After this, we're back into the high weight category because we've got the Gen 4 mobility and the Reduce M. I don't think these are worth using because they're just about 8 kilograms. The move, turn and ergo debuffs are around the same as the 6B45s. They are marginally lower, but you're adding another 4 kilograms to the base of the armor before adding in any plates. You do get groin on both of them, but this only really helps if someone is trying to leg meta you, and we don't see that often enough to specifically protect against that on purpose. So now we've gone through the full list, let's just summarize which ones are the best for different situations. Irrespective of price and access, it's probably the Gel and the Juk. These have class 3, they have neck armor, you can have class 6 on both sides, and they have low debuffs and weight. The main thing that puts you off these is the accessibility of the plates, specifically the front plate, because with people in the endgame rocking class 6 in every raid, due to the availability of the class 6 GAC using the RAM barter, you have to go and find Granite 4 RS front plates in order to compete with them. This then leads to the easiest way to get all of this together, which is the 6B45 series. These are also class 3, they all have neck protection, and you can have class 6 on both sides, which is purchasable. So you can get the GAC triple S's and put them in both sides if you want. They have middling debuffs, which isn't the best, but they do have low weight, and they're also fairly modular. You can buy an armor on its own, and you can buy different rigs of different sizes if you want to instead. These are easy, but they let you customize because you don't have to buy them with plates in already. If you want to do something a little bit different, then you're either going to choose the Defender or the Osprey Protection. These again are both class 3, they both have neck armor, although you have to watch out about the Defender's lack of back of neck. Class 6 on both sides is purchasable at the front and the back, again using the GAC triple S's, and they have slightly lower debuffs than the 6B45 series, albeit with slightly higher weight. The Defender is easier to get using the barter at Ragman, and the Osprey is a little bit more expensive using Peacekeeper's barter for the SAS drives, but you do get arm protection to go along with it, although it is a little bit heavier again. For me, it's probably either the 6B45 and maybe play around with the Osprey if I think I'm going to get inundated by scavs for some reason, so maybe reserve or streets, because the ability to run the same equipment in every single raid is really nice. You can load up 5 different sets of armor in your stash and then not worry about it and just put one on each time you die. Now I will say you can still choose armor outside of this if you want to. The Tech craft in the hideout is still very good, despite the fact that it doesn't have neck protection. The issue is that you may as well choose something with neck because you're not getting an advantage for not having it like you used to. Tech used to be another one of those ones where you got the sneaky soft armor under the sides, but that's gone, so you may as well choose neck if you do actually want to squeeze every last piece of performance out of the armor that you're buying. These armors without neck are very light though, and BSG have changed some of the prices of these armors without end plates inside them. So if you go and look at the Slick, for example, this used to sell to Ragman for about 135,000 rubles, which meant that nobody ever wore them. Now he only buys them for 40k. This means that the price is now cheaper on the flea, and maybe you might want to consider running one. Because they're only 1.3 kilograms to wear, and they do still have class 3 soft armor on the chest, you can load in something like a class 6 GAC front plate and a class 5 GAC back and get your base armor layer for under 5 kilograms. None of these protect the stomach at all anymore though, so you don't even get the lower thorax and the lower back protection, so you are quite vulnerable to getting sprayed by shotguns with buckshot, much more so than we used to be. But do remember that your armor plate is still going to go a significant way down your character model, and so that should protect from most of it. So I hope that's cleared up what's changed. I do think it's quite nice now that you can wear armor that both works in PvE and PvP at the same time and not have to choose between the two. Some of these unintuitive mechanics around the way that armor worked previously, because of the way that the plate system got changed, it was small, then it was big, and then the soft followed the plate around. It was very confusing, and now that's gone, I think it's much easier to understand Tarkov's armor system, which is probably better for everyone overall. So as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons, and as always, have fun in your raids.